So I had it on my lips before I realized that I was reading the wrong thing. Thank you for reading. Those poems were amazing. Courtney LeBlanc is the author of several poetry collections, most recently Her Whole Bright Life, winner of the Jack McCarthy Book Prize published last year by Riot Bloody Press, and available here for purchase, am I right?
Yes.
Yes, good. Also, Exquisite Body, Beating Heart, Riot in Your Throat, and her first collection, Beautiful and Full of Monsters, that was published by Vegetarian Alcoholic Press in 2020. I like half that press. No, I'm just kidding. Courtney is also the founder and editor-in-chief of Riot in Your Throat, an independent poetry press, and is a fellow at the Virginia Center for Creative Arts. We're excited for her to read today. Please welcome Courtney LeBlanc.
Thank you. I'm Courtney LeBlanc. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for coming out on this very strange winter day. We had sunshine and then snow, and I don't know what's going on. I live in Arlington, Virginia, but I grew up on a farm in North Dakota. For those who haven't been there, no, it's terrible. It is very cold. It is very flat. There's a lot of snow. There are very few trees. So basically it is hell frozen over. This morning I looked, the place I grew up in, today it is -14, feels like -37. So it's delightful. And that's important for this first poem. You ain't shit, North Dakota. You're all snow and flat and forever horizon. You fly over state. You MAGA hat Fox News junkie. The year I left, it snowed on June 1st. June 1st, you motherfucker. Can't bury the dead in a North Dakota winter unless you bonfire first. My 18th birthday brought a storm that shut down a state that knows how to deal with snow. North Dakota laughed at chains on tires, laughed at the fools who tried to leave their neighborhoods. My father cleared the driveway with the snowblower, and North Dakota punked him and dropped another 8 inches, as if his work was ever done. And now, he's dying. You did this to him, North Dakota. You broke him. His whole life spent nurturing you, feeding the world with the wheat he grew in your rich soil. He never touched the black tar of long-dead dinosaurs that sits beneath you, never mind the millions it could bring. And what do? You give him thunder snow. You withhold the northern lights that have, on rare occasion, pirouetted across the sky like a bright green ballerina. I saw them once, had to pull over to gape. But my father has never seen them, and now his eyesight is failing. His hands shake. He's always cold. His one functioning kidney is stuttering to a stop. It'll drag all the other organs down with it. It won't take long, but his doctor has promised she'll make it painless. If he dies this winter, I'll cut down every tree in every forest across you, North Dakota. I'll build a fire big enough to see from space. Let the astronauts think it's the northern lights. Let everyone think the world is ending. Because for me, part of it will. Thank you. I'm going to be reading mostly today from my new book, Her Whole Bright Life. It came out last April. It has 2 main themes, my father's death and my disordered eating, so it's very uplifting. You're welcome. No, take care of yourselves. If you need to step away or take a break, that is totally cool. I totally understand. This next poem is titled, I Don't Eat After 8 p.m. I once read you shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. if you want to lose weight, and I, a woman who hated her body for a decade, always wanted less to hate. The week my dad died, I ate my mother's pretzel dessert with a spoon, pan held beneath my chin like a trough, the salty-sweet combination filling my belly with calories I couldn't begin to count. I ran 7 miles each morning, the flat stretching before me unbroken. My father lay quiet, first in the hospital, then in the living room, no longer consuming anything, his small frame dark against the pale sheet. When I came inside, sweat slick and panting, I kissed his face, told him about my run, the flowers blooming in the ditch, the blue sheet of sky. That night, after my mother had finally gone to bed, I sat in the chair I pulled to my father's bedside and ate a cloud of carbs, the homemade bread my mother baked and I grew up on. I slathered on a layer of butter, licked the melted gold from my fingertips, told him, in between bites, that I loved him. My dad died early in the pandemic. Not pandemic related, it was just the timing of it. But everyone was still baking bread. We were in that phase. So I go back to North Dakota and I ask my mom for her bread recipe, which had been my grandmother's recipe, which is the bread I grew up on. And that's when I learned that there's a secret ingredient, and it's Crisco. Like a cup of it, like a lot. Which is why it is so delicious and melts in your mouth, but also like fucking Crisco for real. Ugh. I still love it. When my therapist asks how I'm doing, I talk about the election, my father's death, my friend's brain tumor. I don't tell her about my 2.5-hour workout that morning, how I wouldn't stop until I burned 1,000 calories. I don't tell her of my daily ritual of stripping down, exhaling every ounce of breath before stepping onto the scale. How if there's a hair tie around my wrist, it must be removed and the ritual repeated. I don't tell her I know the calories in my morning coffee, 102, or my yogurt and granola, 170, or that I fear growing into my mother's body. I spent a decade eating nothing more than an apple and 2 rice cakes between the hours of 8 and 4. When I gave up that slow march toward a hungry death, I thought I'd be normal. But what is normal if not tracking every bite of broccoli? If not knowing the calories in a single baby carrot? I don't tell her because I like when my clavicles arch out from my chest, when my hip bones jut forward like handlebars. I don't tell her because I don't want to talk about what ended 15 years ago, even if its fingerprints remain permanently etched on me. Instead, I talk about the daily hikes with my dogs, my friend's chemo routine, the new meditation app I downloaded. The session ends and I scoop up the Rumple Kleenex and drop them in the garbage. There's a bowl of leftover Halloween candy near the exit. I dig for a Snickers, pop the bite-sized chocolate into my mouth and make it last until I reach my car. This time, I don't record it. This time, I regret not taking 2. Just getting over a cold. It's not COVID and it's not contagious, but I'm still very snotty. You're welcome. And also my mouth is very dry. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit so I don't drown you in the sad. So these will just be sad for a different reason, I guess. This next poem is titled, Would You Ever Get Your Spouse's Name Tattooed? We'd been separated for 6 months, and you'd been dating someone for 2 months when you called to tell me my name now graced your bicep. I looked around the kitchen that was now only mine, the fridge with the broken handle, the stove with only 3 working burners. We're not getting back together, I finally said. It's a testament, you corrected, to the years we spent together. I was wife number 2, and you tell me your first wife's name was inked onto your other bicep. But where will you put your third wife's name, I quipped. I'll never marry again, you insisted. Years later, I will spend hours getting my entire left arm tattooed, a delicate sleeve that my second husband does not like. He cannot comprehend how they make me feel beautiful. I waited 7 years to remarry, uncertain I wanted to do it again, uncertain I could. You remarried 7 months after our divorce was finalized. I don't know where her name resides. Just for the record, I am a firm believer in do whatever the hell you want to your own body, 100%. But if you get an ex's name tattooed after you're no longer together, I am going to judge you. Just saying. That poem actually has a companion piece from my second collection that I'm going to read titled, To My Ex Who Asked If Every Poem was about him. I wish you happiness, but the kind that makes you think of me after your life has fallen asleep. I wish you 2% raises and average performance evaluations. I wish you casseroles and Bud Light. I wish you vacations to Disney World in July. I wish you khakis and plaid button-ups. I wish you sex, but only missionary position and only with the lights out. I wish you calendar reminders and capped teeth. I wish you individually wrapped low-fat cheese slices and turkey bacon, which insults 2 animals. I wish you mayonnaise and store-bought white bread. I wish you decaf coffee. I wish you sleeping in until 7 a.m. on Sundays. I wish you instant oatmeal microwaved each morning for your heart health. I wish you a tie each Father's Day and a birthday card received a week late. I wish you a daughter who writes poetry filled with metaphors about a complicated family relationship. I wish you a football team that never makes the playoffs and a son who's an average soccer player. I wish you this poem popping up first the next time you Google me. And because I read 2 poems about my ex, and I think he doesn't really deserve that much airtime, I'm going to read a love poem to my husband. I have chronic migraines. My worst migraine lasted 6 months straight with no breaks until the neurologist figured out what was going on, and so that's sort of the context for this. And it's titled, Love is a Lesion on Your Brain.
Oh my God.
When the headache started again, you offered ibuprofen and understanding and drawn shades. When a train wreck woke me in the middle of the night, you broke out the Valium and Percocet and told me not to cry because that only makes it worse, then held me until I fell into an ocean of quiet. Prescription bottles lined the bathroom sink like dominoes. Knock one down and watch me fall deeper. When the neurologist said, we found something, you held my hand, a portrait of calm in the fury of the storm building in my brain. When the neurosurgeon photographed every slice and angle of the lesion I would eventually name Napoleon, you offered to shave your head. I walk in the door and you know if it's a night for wine or for quiet darkness. You've learned to read the foreign tongue of my grimaces and my sighs. I've been a pincushion, needles placed into my skin as delicately as a wreath placed upon a grave. I've removed red wine, peanut butter, loud noises, MSG, chocolate, bright lights, and coffee from my diet. I've been on so many different drugs the pharmacists greet me by name. I'm sorry our nights have become cluttered with a medicine that makes me so dizzy I trace the walls to keep from falling, that make me unable to sleep and escape this madness, that make me cringe when you speak above a whisper. I hope you know when I'm closed up in our dark bedroom, I'm praying to God and Buddha and Allah and Darwin that this ends soon. I'm worried you'll buy flowers for some other girl who doesn't live in the gutted carcass of herself. I'm worried you'll decide that this idea of in sickness and in health is too much for you. Baby, my head hasn't stopped screaming for 6 months, but at least it's screaming, I fucking love you. Who doesn't love a good love poem? All right, I have one final poem for you. It's where the collection gets its title. I was born in '79, and my younger sister was born in 1980. But we have a sister who's like 8 or 9 years older than us, and so she would record movies off of Showtime onto VHS. And my younger sister and I would watch them, which means we watched a lot of shows that weren't exactly age appropriate. But some of the stuff went over our heads, so it was fine. But it also means that those movies live in my heart forever, and this is a poem about one of them, and it's titled, The Night My Father Died, We Made My Brother-in-Law Watch Dirty Dancing. Because the whole week was exhausting, none of us slept, our eyes swollen from crying. My throat was so sore, I worried it was strep. When the strep test came back negative, I worried it was COVID. The hospital bed still sat in the corner with medical supplies stacked beside it. The neighbors kept bringing over food, and so we grief ate. That morning, I woke at 3:45 a.m. to give my dad his dose of morphine, and I found my mother asleep in the recliner. When I woke her, she said, I couldn't hear him breathing from the bedroom. I sent her to bed, tucked the syringe into my dad's cheek, and pushed the plunger slowly, the morphine absorbing because he could no longer swallow. I stayed up until 5 a.m., dozed until 6:30 when my mom woke and took over so I could go for a run, because it's hard to cry while running. And when my dad's brothers and sisters arrived, I greeted them in the driveway, the day cruelly bright and beautiful. It took his brothers 3 tries to make it into the house, 3 tries to say goodbye. My aunt called my sister by the wrong name, but none of us corrected her. And then my dad's best friend showed up. It took him 30 minutes and 4 cigarettes to gain the courage to hold his hand. And when my dad took his last breath, we didn't realize for a moment he was gone. But no inhale followed, and I couldn't find the pulse. I kept my fingers on his wrist, hoping to feel the tiny blip, but it didn't come. And so that night, my sister and my mother and I watched a movie we'd seen a dozen times. We sang along to the soundtrack and laughed when Jim didn't know the plot. We needed nostalgia and distraction and a happy ending. We needed Baby up on that stage, her whole bright life ahead of her. Thank you.